When we arrived on the scene, paramedics were working frantically to help the husband. His wife was already dead from gunshot wounds, and neighbors were stunned.
He came out shooting, and all I know, he was laying down in the yard over there, and they put him on the stretcher and took him home.
This neighbor asked us not to show her face. She watched, along with others, as heavily armed officers, police dogs, and helicopters converged on the house where the shooting took place.
It's a domestic situation.
According to police, they were called to this house on Rhea Street early Sunday morning.
When officers arrived on the scene, they were met by an armed suspect who opened the door and fired shots at officers.
Lieutenant H.K. Starnes says officers returned fire, and the suspect went back into the house. Police sealed off the area and called TAC units and hostage negotiating teams.
Approximately 40 minutes later, they heard more shots coming from inside the house. The suspect exited the house, pointed his weapon at officers, fired shots. Officers returned fire.
The husband was put in an ambulance. His wife was pronounced dead at the scene. Relatives of the couple were devastated.
They've been together probably going on 6-7 years.
Police say there are still a lot of unanswered questions about just what happened here. Ben Watson, Action News 5.
Water gushing from the Redwood Estates RV and mobile home park looked like riptides in the ocean Saturday. Emergency responders evacuated 25 families as water lapped at their doorsteps.
Yes, a very eerie feeling.
Firefighters brought out the boats to transport mobile home park residents to Matabuses. The buses trucked them to dry land. Fire trucks and ambulances were also on scene. Police set up roadblocks to prevent people from getting stuck.
This is about as far as you can get.
Reverend Claiborne Davenport wanted to help, but he couldn't get past the roads turned into floodways.
I think it's sad. It's really sad.
Jacqueline Jones' home is flooded 2 blocks from Redwood.
My worst fear is that they don't have nowhere for this water to go. It's going to have to go somewhere, and it's going to flood our house out.
Nearby Memphis Mobile City is already flooded out, with water more than halfway up this stop sign. Neighbor Lewis Jones said it was hard to see even the slightest bit of rain Saturday.
I never thought that this much rain could do just this much damage in 1 week.
He said he's praying for evacuees.
And I'm just thinking, like, how can people survive through this stuff?
Just a mystery of what's going to happen. Where's it going to stop?
Kanji Anthony, Action News 5.
No saqué mis cosas antes porque pensé que iba a quedar.
In Spanish and in English, residents here at Country View Mobile Community can tell you a lot about recent flooding.
He writes like 2 foot like that.
Heavy rains left this North Memphis neighborhood covered in water. It's a tough break for residents like 86-year-old Alton Elam, who says it's the last straw.
I got all the thing I can haul out, and I'm living down at my son's down in North Mississippi.
As you can see, many residents have already packed up their belongings and put them on trucks. Many feel if they don't get out now, it may be too flooded around here to get out later. But for residents like Don Strevel, moving to higher ground is only temporary.
Just like anything else in life. You keep your head up and you just keep plowing. The sun comes up tomorrow.
Strevel says he wants to go back to his trailer. The only problem now, he's not sure just when. Ben Watson, Action News 5.
My first thought was, has anybody been hurt? Because it's a plane crash. So you're worried about, who's been hurt? Is it somebody you know?
Jackie McIntosh never imagined a plane would come crashing down in this field near her backyard. She says she had just seen the pilot, 50-year-old Byron Moore of Cordova, moments before the plane took off.
There were 2 guys standing there. Now, it's quite a ways away, so I can't really see who specific it was. But they were looking at the engine. So I assumed they were getting ready to fly it.
Investigators say the ultralight plane, also known as a kit plane, crashed in the field in the 5800 block of Yum Yum Road while the pilot was doing some tests. The plane had already taken off and landed several times during the day.
They had put several flight hours on the plane today and had been working on some modifications on the plane. The plane had taken off, cleared a tree line, and then suddenly nosedived down into the ground.
As the plane went up in flames, neighbors rushed in to try to help the pilot, who was alone aboard the aircraft.
Several of the landowners here were able to get the pilot out of the plane, but the pilot was deceased on the scene.
Meanwhile, members of the FAA and NTSB were notified to further look into the cause of the crash.
Your heart sinks because you wonder about the people and who who died and their families, and my prayers and my heart go out to them.